जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल।
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya
Jaya
Jaya.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Shripad, 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 Srila Shripad, Jaya Jaya.
Jaya Sripad, 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 Srila Sripad.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Srila Gurudev, Jaya Jaya.
Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev.
Nitai Gaurang Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaurang Hari Bol, Nitai
Jai
Gaurang.
Gauranga Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gauranga Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
निताई गौरांग प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 बोल बोल जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे श्याम
Ram
निताई गौरांग भगवान जय जय श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
Narayanam Namaskritya
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
ततो जयमुदीरये
Tato Jayamudirayet
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी।
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome everyone to this wonderful continuation of Bhagavad study. The indispensable limb of following Param Dharma, the Bhagavad Dharma. So today we will study in Canto 6, Chapter 18, entitled Diti vows to kill King Indra. And text number 23 to 25. So, text number 23 is Sri Shuka Uvacha
Sri Sukha Uvacha
Hata Putra Diti Shakra
Hata Putra Diti Sakra
Pashnigrahena Vishnuna
Parthnigrahena Vishnuna
Manyuna Shoka Diptena
Yuna Sokadiptena
Jvalanti Paryachintayat.
Jvalanti Paryachintayat.
Translation: when dead, the bodies of all the rulers known as kings and great leaders of the historical time. 3. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, just to help Indra, Lord Vishnu killed the two brothers Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Because of their being killed, their mother Diti, overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, contemplated as follows. Text number 24. Kadanu bhratrihantaram indriyaramam ulbaram aklinna hridayam papam ghatayitva shaye sukham. Translation. So this is now contemplation by Mother Diti. Lord Indra, who is very much fond of sense gratification, has killed the two brothers Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu by means of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Indra is cruel, hard-hearted, and sinful. When will I, having killed him, rest with a pacified mind? Wow. Next, number 25. Krimi vidvamsa sanghyasid yasyeshabhihitasya cha bhutadruk tatkrite swartham kim veda nirayo yatah. When dead, the bodies of all the rulers known as kings and great leaders will be transformed into worms, stool, or ashes. If one enviously kills others for the protection of such a body, does he actually know the true interest of life? No. Certainly he does not. For if one is envious of other entities, he surely goes to hell. Responsibility, please. When dead, the bodies of all the rulers known as kings
the bodies of all the rulers known as kings
and great leaders
and great leaders
will be transformed into worms
will be transformed into worms
or stool or ashes.
or stool or ashes.
If one enviously kills others
If one enviously kills others
for the protection of such a body,
for the protection of such a body,
wow, does he actually know the true interest of life?
does he actually know the true interest of life?
Certainly he does not.
Certainly he does not.
For if one is envious of other entities,
For if one is envious of other entities,
he surely goes to hell.
he surely goes to hell.
Wow. Purport. The material body, even if possessed by a great king, is ultimately transformed into stool, worms, or ashes. When one is too attached to the bodily conception of life, he is certainly not very intelligent. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namah. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarupa Damodar Swami Niti Namine Namah Sadbhakta Manaye Manipurudbhavaya Srila Prabhupada Sadvani Prachara Niratayate. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. Pranamo Dukkha Shamanastam Namami Harim Param. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So naturally, out of motherly affection, Mother Diti is very angry at Indra, the king of all the devatas, because he gets his gets her sons killed again and again, and she feels very determined that she should just get rid of him, and she's trying to justify, yes, because he is in ignorance, he does not know the true value of life. That is her accusation. If one enviously kills others for the protection of such a body, such a body means oneself, one's own body, then he does not know the true interest of life, which is to attain the supreme destination. Rather, enviously, if he harms others for that sin, he goes to hell. This is very common knowledge in the Vedic tradition, that if you harm others, then, you will be punished. And the punishment is already this material body itself is a punishment, but to go to lower species of life, or to get a specific punishment, then one goes to hell. So a question may be asked, Diti's concern, is it really helping Indra from her intention, because she's contemplating to do the same mistake. she wants to, her attitude is to just get rid of the problem. If somebody is diseased, as she is accusing that Indra is in disease consciousness, but how she is trying to help her as a mother, she is at least somewhat mother, Mosi, Indra, Ma Jesi. She's almost like a mother for Indra. So if the mother sees some disease in a child, does she kill him? Does she think of killing him or just getting him cured? So this is the fundamental this duality also in the mentality of Diti also. On one side, she's justifying her and accusing Indra that he's envious and that's why he's killing her sons. But what is the cure? So she also needs a direction from Srimad Bhagavatam. That if somebody is as close to you as your son, almost a son, even if he does something wrong, or if he's diseased, a mother should think of curing him. If she thinks of killing the son, then she's the accusation, the very accusation backfires on her. Then she's also envious of anybody. Justifying on one side, but the thing she's trying to do is cannot be justified. And, there is a big problem. That's why she's celebrated as the mother of the demons. But of course, we will see that because Indra has entered her womb, so naturally she has that motherly devotion towards the Indra, and that will be that is the thing which will be discussed along the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. But today we will focus basically that how that cure, that the envious nature of the living entities in material world, this envy has been perennial, it has been continuing, it has been like again and again, so many layers of envy. Because of that envy, because of this bodily identification, one becomes engrossed in bodily identification, and just to protect that body means trying to protect the body which cannot be ultimately protected. It is perishable, but as long as the life lives in the body, soul is within the body, one becomes very attached to this body, and because of that attachment, uh, it contemplates, it always thinks of protecting it and how to favor the body. And in the process of favoring or benefiting the body, one ends up becoming envious, and to the extent that one forgets that people, other people also, they are also very attached to their bodies. So everything is a material world that most pay just to exploit at the cost of anything. So this is the nature which is all pervading in this material realm. So it is not spared even Indra, although he is very, very elevated in his position. But this envy, the nature, envy is also plagued, has also plagued him. How to work up. Because from the Lord's point of view, he's always trying to help every living entity to come out of this bodily entanglement and to attain the supreme destination. The Lord is most merciful, but at the same time, his mercy has to be perceived, because the living entity in the conditioned state is not able to perceive the unlimited mercy which the Lord wants to bestow, or bestowing actually. That's why in human form of life, he has given this intelligence to search out. When a person becomes exhausted in one's endeavor to solve his material situations, and even in trying to protect the material body, eventually all his endeavors are baffled. And this baffling is very prominent as far as experiencing in the human society, because human being, because he's endowed with a special intelligence, he always looks for the modifying the situations, always looking for the better option. In that process, something may happen, because that's why, for that very purpose, to connect to that mercy, unlimited mercy of the Supreme Lord, this human being is given this special intelligence to Brahmavalokadishanam Mudamapati. Is down. But in the conditioned state, the animalistic propensities become so prominent that human being also becomes like a polished animal. All his intelligence is utilized only to the animalistic end, just to how to eat better, sleep better, and enjoy better, and protect one's situation better. Totally sophisticated, polished, animalistic life. And this is how he remains deprived of his potential. He remains an underperformer because of this disease condition, due to the envy of others and misidentification very grossly with the body. How to help? And all these episodes of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are trying to eventually, and the question here asked is how that the Marutas who are born of born of the mother of the demons. How they became devotees? This is the question asked, and Shukdev Goswami is trying to reply. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, this how ultimately one can come out of this bodily misidentification and envy. Because as far as the material existence is concerned, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18:40, "Na tadasti prithivyam va divi deveshu va punah sattvam prakriti jair muktair yadebhis shatribhir gunair." Everything is polluted by one of the three modes or multiple modes. So there is nothing pure, nothing is free from this influence of the three modes, under whose influence the living entity becomes envious, or associates of envy, or the byproducts of envy, if we want to call the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mad, matsarya ultimately. So these things have been carried forward life after life after life after life. So one wonders what is the solution. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the conversation between Lord Brahma and Narad Muni, Yesham se eva Bhagavan dayed ananta sarvatmana shitapado yadi nirvilikam. Yadi nirvilikam. Tedustaram atitaranti cha deva mayam nesham mamaham itidhi shvashrigala bhakshi. The attachment to the body, which is only the food for the jackals and dogs. Same thing. So we know that this material body, when the soul leaves this body, it has only three destinations. If it is cremated, it becomes ashes. If it is buried in the ground, it converts into the worms. And if it is eaten by some other animals in the water or on the land, then it becomes stool of some animal. So this body is not very valuable eventually, but as long as the soul is within this body, it has some usage. And if that usage, that for that particular purpose, this human body is given to us, if it is not, the purpose is not fulfilled, then however greatly we decorated this body, or we try to decorate, what is its value? It can be of value only if we become awakened to its specific purpose for which it is given to us. Because if that purpose is not addressed, if that purpose is not targeted, then this body of which we are so proud and so protective and so enamored, because it is the means for our sense gratifications. The body has the senses and the mind and all these things. This has been going on. We have become so used to thinking that this body is me, aham mameti, and the bodily relationships which provide comfort and favors to me, whosoever favors this body, they are also mine. So this conception is very, very deep rooted. And if everybody is stuck there, everybody will become envious of each other without finding the real solution. How the real solution? How if everybody is diseased, how can really anyone save? So everybody in the material world, as Lord Krishna says, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, is in disease condition. Everybody assumes that others are diseased and they are just they are not allowing me, or they are interfering in my getting the sense gratification. So this thing is very so prevalent in the atmosphere in this material existence. But within this material itself, there are certain things. That's why the Lord, he descends in this material world also. So the Lord is not under the influence of three modes of material nature, correct? And the devotees, those who are devoted to the Supreme Lord, they are also transcendental. So the devotees also become in the material world. Devotees are also in the material world. And those who follow the process of pure devotional service, that is also transcendental. So at least three things, the paraphernalia. Now the devotees of the Lord, they work as the agents, as the representatives of the Lord. The Lord's desire is to really free the living entities, especially in human form of life, from this entanglement of sansara. The process, the cycle of birth and death. So the Lord uses his devotees to impart that connection to the Supreme Lord, because on one's own, the living entity is not able to perceive the mercy which the Lord is ananta mercy. Yeshamsa eva Bhagavan dayayed ananta. Dayayed ananta, unlimited. He's the source of unlimited mercy. Anybody, and the sloka says, Brahmaji says to Narad Muni, Yesham Saiva Bhagwan Dayed and Sarvatmana Yadi Nirvelikam, Sarvatmana Ashtrita Pado Yadi Nirvelikam. So the Lord, he bestows the mercy on someone who takes shelter of his lotus feet, free from envy. Sarvatmana Yadi Nirvelikam. If free from, Nirvelikam means free from duplicity. So duplicity because of this envy and all these shadripus which we describe. Duplicity, because one wants to deprive the other person, one wants to exploit the other person, because in the bodily concept of life, everybody sees the matter or the means are always seen as limited. And so one thinks that only if I grab, then otherwise others will get it. So duplicity, vanchit, to deprive the other person. So this attitude is very prominent in the material world. But if someone free from duplicity, without duplicity, if he takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, then he can surmount, very difficult to surmount, material energy. Te dustaram ati taranti cha deva mayam. They are able to surmount the deva maya. And then, as the effect of that, then they will not, their buddhi. Nesha mamaham itidhi swashrigala bhakshi. Then they will not be attached to this body, which is anyway the food for the jackals and the dogs. So one may wonder that this unlimited merciful Lord, we see that people are not aware of it. People totally ignorant about it. Something could be so close to us, and if we are ignorant, it's just like the treasure is hidden somewhere in your house, but we have forgotten it. Just like that. We can be searching out for it, we just not find it. So that is the position. So somebody has to just help him. And so who helps the conditioned souls? The Mahat Purush, the devotees of the Lord. Only they can rescue the conditioned soul. They can ignite their interest in the Supreme Lord's unlimited mercy. Of course, the unlimited mercy of the Lord is compared to the sunshine which spreads. Sun sheds light on everyone equally, just like that. And Lord is also celebrated as one who is equal to everyone. Right? But we know that although the Lord has spared his mercy equally everywhere on everyone, but not everyone, every living entity does not become free from this worldly entanglement. Although the Lord is ready to bestow upon everybody. One has to willingly connect to it. One has to become enlightened. One has to become awakened to this unlimited mercy of the Lord. That's why then what to do? Because although the Lord is unlimitedly merciful, the condition is that one who takes shelter of him will surrender, becoming free from duplicity. So that unlimited mercy of the Lord ready to bestow upon all of us, it is attached with a condition that one has to take unconditional shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Then that mercy will be bestowed. So we can see that the Lord, however unlimitedly merciful, that mercy does not guarantee that the living entity takes shelter unconditionally and becoming free from duplicity. There is something, some more mercy or another thing other than this mercy is required. And we find that that special mercy, that inducement, that encouragement, that readiness to become free from duplicity and becoming free from envy, that is induced by a devotee because he has realized by getting that special mercy from another devotee. So this is the parampara. So the devotees then they go out and connect, induce or preach to the other living conditioned souls. And they induce them to take shelter of the Supreme Lord for the process of pure devotional service. And this is how they are able to benefit. So we can see that then only when one follows the process of pure devotional service induced by other devotees, then and then only the living entity can come out and becoming free from all the anarthas which have covered his consciousness so deeply. Then he can become free from duplicity. Then he can understand the value of taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. And that is the essence of this Bhagavad Dharma. Na tathahi agvan rajan puyeta tapadipi yatha krishnar pita pranastat purusha nishivaya. So without the devotee or pure devotee coming in the life of conditioned souls, we are not in a position to value Krishna even, and what Krishna is offering us. That's why the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam especially, different places, addressing in a very heavy tone sometimes, very heavy language, describing that, denouncing this bodily attachment. You think your body is so valuable, but see what is the destiny of this body. It becomes a stool of some animal. Do we take interest in the stool of some animal? But our body, if eaten by other animals, it becomes stool of their stool. It becomes ashes. And cremated, it becomes the worms. So this is the end result of our body. So to a human being, he can be educated by the devotees. Yes, why you think that this body is so valuable? Unless they are enlightened, awakened, that before death, this body can be used for attaining the highest perfection. That's why the intelligent person would be called intelligent. The challenge here, the purport Srila Prabhupada writes, when one is too attached to the bodily conception of life, he is certainly not very intelligent. But human being is meant to be very intelligent because he is endowed with its special intelligence. But if he uses that special intelligence even to animalistic end, then that is the misapplication of intelligence. So this proper application of the special intelligence we are endowed with, it is the essential necessity of this human existence. And those who have become blessed with that awakening, only by their intervention, by their inducing the conditioned soul, it is not possible to come out of not very intelligent. Actually, when the human being is accused, you are not very intelligent, what does it mean? It means you are supposed to be intelligent, because to tell a dog that you are not very intelligent, it won't make a difference. But if a human being is addressed that you are not very intelligent, that means, oh, am I underperforming? Am I doing something so bad? Yes, so this can be registered in the consciousness of a living entity. So when Srimad Bhagavatam is accusing us human beings, Yashatma buddhi punapetri dhatuke swadhi kalatrādishu bhauma ijjati yatirtha buddhi salilena karichit janeshva vigyeshu saiva gokara. Oh, if you are like this, if you think that this body, which is just a bag collecting three dhatus, kapha, vata, pitta, mucus, pus, blood, all this urine. Yashatma buddhi, one who thinks of this bag collection of these three things, this body is oneself. How horrible, how denouncing this thought. But a human being, he can register, it can be registered in the human intellect. Wow, somebody is accusing me. And if he's, since he's intelligent, if he analyzes, he can think, yes, this body is just like a big collection of these three dhatus. Yashasva buddhi kunape means a bag. Three dhatu ke swadhi kalatradish. And whatever he thinks about his ideas, and, in the bodily conception or bodily identification, one thinks only in terms of the body's gratification and nothing about his real self, real soul. Swadhi Kalatradishu, and his wife, Adishu, his children, his family, his society surrounding him. Swadhi Kalatradishu Bhauma Ijjati, and his land of his place of birth, or things made of this earth, earthly things is worshipable. Bhauma Ijjati, because from the earth, many things, many products are there, and people become attached to those products. Bhauma Ijjati, one thinks that the place of my birth is very worshipable. Everybody thinks like that. They are taste the place of their birth. Bhoma ijjati. Natirtha buddhi, yatirtha buddhi salile. And one who, out of religiosity, he likes to go on pilgrimage, but he identifies his buddhi, his understanding of the place of pilgrimage is limited to some salile, some water, some river, or some pond or something. You think he has taken bath in a river or in a
Hare
lake?
Krishna Maharaji.
Yes. Then he's very, very accomplished, but benefiting, no benefit to the soul. Total engrossed, total focusing on the bodily platform. Yatirtha buddhi salilena karichit, but he never karichit janeshu abhiggeshu. His buddhi, his intelligence, his interest, when is not ignited, when his interest remains zero in taking direction or shelter of those who are truly learned in the science of reality, the soul, its real interest. Yatirtha buddhi salilena karchit janeshu abhiggeshu, those who are very knowledgeable in the real interest of the soul. Janeshu abhiggeshu saeva gokhara. If he remains, if he deprives himself from taking direction from the people with the true knowledge or real knowledge, then he is no better than saeva gokhara. He is certainly no better than the asses who carry the burden of grass eaten by the cows. So saeva gokhara, as unintelligent as the cow, because cow is something described, although considered very holy and very wonderful in Vedic culture. She has one that she puts her mouth in everything and everywhere. So a person without any discrimination, that is the concept here. Saeva gokhara. He cannot discriminate. His total engrossment is only with this body. He does not understand. He cannot discriminate between the interest of the soul and interest of higher purpose, or the ultimate, or the special prerogative of this human form of life. So unless one becomes, comes across the awakened devotees of the Lord, one remains not very intelligent in spite of having this human form of life. So everybody needs shelter and the blessing, connection to the pure devotees, saintly persons, to come out of this material engrossment and free oneself from this ignorance. That is possible for every human being. This is what differs the human being from animals. That's why nobody chastises the animals, because it's of no use. But when human being is chastised, actually this is doing a favor to him. Mother Diti, although she wants to punish Indradev, but that punishment is not sufficient. That kind of punishment is not really helping. But we will find out that somehow her action leads to another action, into another action. And because Indra, however faulty in the estimation of Diti, because he is protected by Lord Vishnu, and because of his connection, because of the association of a Devata or the king of Devata in her womb, her consciousness also becomes purified. So we can see that it is the association of a devotee or a Devata Devata means literally who take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So that way, Indra is also a devotee, and whatever the devotee does, it does something good to everyone. That is the role given to Lord Indra. Apparently, his actions are very much disturbing Diti. But then when he finds out that Diti wants to kill him, so he enters the womb of Mother Diti and cuts the womb into 49 pieces. This is how the Marutas. And Indra is acknowledged by Mother Diti is her son because he entered her womb. So this is how through the association of devotee, the non-devotees demons also were given the position as devatas. Hare Krishna, very much all the thank you very much. Anything you have something to add, something to comment, something to ask, please come forward. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Maharaji. Yeah, it seems our Shyamchandra Prabhuji is having a question. Shyamchandra Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Bro, Dandat Pranam, all those.
Jai Shila Shri Prabhupada Maharaj, Jai Shila Prabhupada. Maharaj, thank you very much for a very nice, lucid presentation of your thoughts, which gave us a clear understanding of how, what are the areas where if are not taken care, one can, easily fall into the pit and, become a victim. Now, the question that keeps coming again and again in my mind is that about Kashyapa Muni. Now, Kashyapa Muni, on one hand, is considered to be one of the topmost learned and very intelligent, powerful, fully well-versed sage, like Karda Muni and other. So, and at the end of the day, he's also the father of all the devatas also. But he could have seen this coming. I mean, the Diti's, what is in Diti's mind, he surely knows because he has that powerful vision. Yet, we see that he got captivated, and then he, completely missed, the seriousness of the matter. So on one hand, we always say that we take the association of saints, sadhus, so that we don't fall victims to the modes of material nature. But here is a powerful sadhu himself. So sometimes this, and in Bhagavatam there are innumerable examples where so many powerful sadhus who are beyond, in the perception of a conditioned soul, beyond that. Now here, why Kashyapa Muni could not, chastise Diti, or could not, control her, that no, this is wrong. So this is one thing, we are getting answers, but yet again and again it's going into the loop.
Very good thought, very good thought. So now you understand the entanglement until one becomes a pure devotee, and especially stuck in a family affairs, correct? And with multiple wives. You can see, even with one wife, one may remain stuck for until death. So this family affairs throughout Bhagavatam, the only exit is by coming under the shelter and finding the confidence in a pure devotee. So however great Kashyapa Muni is not among the 12 Mahajanas described in Bhagavatam. So there is a difference, no? So one could be greatly knowledgeable, idealistic in dharma, but dharma itself is most entangling. Actually, can you imagine in Nautam Das Thakur's one of the saying, it says something very, he says regarding give up papa and also we give up punya. This entanglement, attachment with papa and punya both. Now see, when a person is sinful, then and the reactions come and somehow the detachment is possible, because one can someday, sooner or later, it gets to him that he's doing wrong. Right? And then he takes a break, and then sadhu, a saintly person, comes in his life, and then his life becomes, because it's possible, it's more possible. The possibility of acknowledging that he's been doing wrong is greater for a simple person, a papi, one who commits papa, then take the message or the right direction from a saintly person. Then for a person who is very much attached to the punya, because the punya gives him a lot of favorable situations, lot of adoration from the society, and he thinks he's progressing, he's doing great. And so it's very difficult. So these sages, they have all the knowledge about higher life or better life, but they are not yet fully blessed by a pure devotee in order to become pure devotee himself. So this Bhagavatam is giving us this knowledge that it is not sufficient to be very knowledgeable and very learned, very austere, and all these things. We must work up to the ultimate blessing, to become blessed by a pure devotee like Narad Muni, or in taking shelter. So, but direct answer to your question is one is to free oneself from family affairs, because especially with multiple wives, how can he not fulfill the desire of his other wife, Biti? This is amazing. One can be so powerful, as you said, so knowledgeable, still, but that knowledge that does not lead to transcendence, it is also called avidya. So within avidya, the vidya, so-called vidya, is also within the three modes. One has to take shelter of paravidya, or transcendental knowledge of the soul, any soul's interest. But in Kashyap Muni, however intelligent he is, his intelligence is within the three modes. Even in the mode of goodness, as you would assume that he should have given the right advice and not what. But even the mode of goodness is tinged with, becomes tinged with the mode of passion and ignorance, because there is no pure goodness. So the even so-called mode of goodness, under the circumstances, becomes influenced by the mode of ignorance and passion. So we can see that Kashyap Muni got influenced by the association of Diti and her nefarious desire to kill one of the other sons, or the nephew, if you want to call it. So the family entanglement deprives one to attain the perfection of human potential. So the advice is there for Kashyap Muni also. You better get out of the family entanglement, otherwise there is no end to it. And we can see that in the heavenly conditions, where life is so long, but still they are trapped there. But in human society, the listeners of these episodes, we have very clear advantage. We can clearly see that our lifespan is very, very limited. And just think of this scenario. The scenario comes to my mind. If our child goes to school, and if it doesn't come back in time, what we do, we just go every distance to figure out where is he. We show so much concern for our child. And when the daughter is given in marriage, we have so many considerations. Wow, we are parting with our daughter, so that new house, whether she will be happy or not, we do so much consideration for the daughter, that she will be happy or happier in the other home. Although we want to keep her all the times with us, but for her development and her happiness, we part with the daughter and make sure. But sometimes if that doesn't work out, then we know that she will have a shelter with the parents. It is out of our love and concern for the child. But when somebody exists from this life, and which we do not know where, if we do not know where they will end up, is it not the duty of every human being to become concerned about where my beloved wife will go, where my beloved husband will go, what would the destination of my son or daughter, loved ones? As long as the soul does not leave the body, should it not become our very great concern that if death comes, where one would end up? Our concern, is our concern and love sufficient for the beloved? If we don't become concerned about where they will end up, is it not required on our part, if we love the loved one, to be concerned about where they will end up if death comes? So because of this bodily conception only, we just want to make sure that as long as he's in the body, he should be happy, whether the daughter gets married in the in-laws house or son comes home every day. But does our concern include what will happen to them when they leave this body finally? If our concern does not include that concern, and our love for them is not enough. So from that point of view, this Kashyap Muni, he's also engrossed in the bodily consciousness. In that consciousness, then he's no better than what the Bhagavatam describes. Bodily consciousness, trying to protect the body and trying to please the wife and all these things without educating. So if one is bereft of that transcendental knowledge, how can he help others? He's entangled in the family affairs. Best thing. So your question is like giving a tremendous exposure to the dark side of material existence. So only when we become blessed with the transcendental knowledge, and somehow our endeavor to ignite our attraction for Krishna, that alone will rescue. Otherwise, this entanglement is everywhere, from Brahma Bhuvana Loka, from highest planet in this material world to the lowest. We are in the middle, correct? We are near the exit door. If we become awakened by studying these wonderful episodes where the people are stuck even in the higher planets, just as this we are describing, and we should be prepared that, and we must not allow our temptation for the higher planets within the material world. Our target has to be only the supreme abode, the supreme destination, which is free from the inevitabilities or the imperfections and all these dualities which are plaguing the whole existence in this material world. We must think of our exit out of it. So all these your questions, and the real answer to your question is this only: But they are stuck. And if we try to be as powerful and try to be there, we would be we will be no better off than them, because in spite of having so much knowledge and advancement, they are truly not helping themselves. So how can they help others? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Wonderfully explained. The confusion only grows bigger, if we think that if family entanglement is the only cause, because in the case of Shaubhri Muni, he was not in the family entanglement, yet after thousands of years of meditation underwater, just by seeing the fish mating, his senses were agitated, and the whole thing changed for him. So that means at every stage, the consciousness is actually tested, whether one is in the family life or even in the without the family life. There is a test going on all the time, which we are fighting. Otherwise,
family life is a kind of punishment for the. It's, mildly speaking, it's a way of purifying. But if we remain purified by good association, why we need the purification through family life? The whole purpose of this Bhagavad culture, that if we find the proper association and encouragement from the our associates, then definitely, if we are not yet in family life, one can protect oneself. And if one protects, then he can avoid the offenses. When offenses are committed, then all these things happen, and it's Krishna's way of purifying the soul, purifying the living entity, punishing the living entity. Purifying, punishing, two things. One sounds very very decorative, and other sounds very gross. Punishment is very gross, and purifying is very soothing. But purification through punishment of entrance into family affairs, because the human life, this family affairs we have experienced. Turnam yatet na padet anumrityu yavan nishreyasaya vishaya khalu sarvatra shadud. Vishaya, family life for sense gratification. This has been experienced by us trillions of times in different style, in different flavor, as animal, as human being, as insects, and whatnot. So when we have now come to this human form of life, if in early time, before entering the family life, if we have been blessed with the sadhu sangha, pure sadhus who are free from any entanglement whatsoever, then one can protect oneself. And, if the parents have become awakened truly in Krishna consciousness, then definitely they will try to help their children rather than encouraging them for family entanglement, trying to get them settled. This is the attitude of often parents, because they are not sufficiently awakened themselves. They think, how can my child can think of sannyas right now, or remain celibate, or remain brahmachari like this, because they have not experienced, they have not been awakened enough about the potency of this transcendental knowledge of Krishna connection to a pure devotee. And that's why we see in our society also, it's encouraging by the parents. How many parents aspire that or ask for the blessing from the sadhus? Please bless this sadhu that he becomes a pure sannyasi. That should be the target. That should be a target before one has entered the family life. Once who has entered family life due to ignorance or because of not very pure atmosphere or surrounding, then the instructions for the householders are, yes, you have taken a long route, and somehow just getting the association direction from sadhus, you work out of how to free yourself from family entanglement, by 50 or by 60, because 59, if you see in Hindi, Ekavan, correct? Go to the 1, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56 in Gujarati, 55, 55, 56, 57, go to Vrindavan, 58, go to Vrindavan means, so this 50, when the 50s come, then the click comes on, like on the phone, so reminder comes, 51, go to Vrindavan, 1. So this 1 comes multiple times in the 50s. So if not at 50, by 59, before 60, one should really means, if one thinks the privilege of having come in touch with a pure devotee, who so much insisted that we don't become trapped by the family entanglement. It is duty for all of us. We cannot afford to get any inspiration from Kashyap Muni in his actions. Our fortune is much greater. We can target much greater fortune, totally freeing ourselves from family entanglement. So just think of this entanglement in 3 ashrams of Brahmacharya, Vanprastha, and Sannyas. 75% of our life is supposed to be distributed in these 3. But in Kali Yuga, it is the reverse. 75% or maybe 100, 75% of our lifespan is remain entangled in the family affairs. We never come out of it. So in the last shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam's 10th canto, is a tremendous instruction to give us the inspiration, where it says, Martyas tayanu savamedhi taya mukunda Srimad katha shravana kirtana chintayati Tadham dustara kritanta javapa vargam gramadvanam kshiti bhujopi yayuridata. Even the great kings with so much at stake, so much at their disposal, so much everything, even the great kings of this earth, to attain that supreme destination, they appraised the value of attaining that supreme abode, which is free from the power of death, which is free from the rule of death. So this material existence, we are under the rule of death, which is inevitable. But as long as it has not come, we have to make the operation. So that's why I address this thing. The most beautiful thing in this material existence given by Krishna is this death. Death is the most beautiful thing. Why? It has a very special symptom. It is simultaneously most certain and also most uncertain. It is both immanent and imminent at the same time. So it has to be made converted into the greatest celebration of our life. It's just like somebody has dedicated his life 50 years in a job, in a company, and when he retires, he's given a farewell party. Farewell party is very, very memorable, correct? It's wonderful. It is an acknowledgement of all the wonderful things and dedication, loyalty, everything done. In the same way, we have to make this point of death is the most coveted muhurta point in our life. And the wonderful thing is, although it is very certain, it is not coming at this very moment. This is how we have to observe, we have to contemplate, we have to make our awakening that at this very moment death is not coming. So let me just remain awakened and just figure out where I want to go. What are my options? So the human being is given this opportunity that he can decide, he can choose his options. So the Bhagavatam gives us the options. Vedas give us the option. The human intelligence is meant to decide on the best option we available to us. If that awakening is sustained, then we have progressed beyond the level of Kashyap Muni. Kashyap Muni is not our target. However, we appreciate his great intelligence and situation. Our goal is beyond this realm of three modes of material nature.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Very clear now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, we have one more question by Achit Keshu Prabhu. And yes, Maharaj, please make it short.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat.
Dandavat, all those is listening.
Maharaj, now you told that the Grihastha should be concerned about making their dependents Krishna consciousness. So, when some devotee is not a Grihastha, either is a Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, like you told, it is an obligation for a Grihastha to make his independence. So, is there this obligation lies with them, other ashramas also? Or because in this age, this is a preaching movement, so we have to preach to everyone. So to what extent, other ashrama devotees should be concerned about their family members to be Krishna conscious, or they
Yes,
can communication is not a practical if you can guide some steps, because we are restricted to communicate because of there can be other consequences. So
this
so
scenario, yes, the dependents in the family life, the children, especially the wife and the parents and everybody is based on this today's topic, this family attachment. Are we truly concerned about the well-being of those whom we consider very dear and near to us? Then then the real concern must include the Krishna conscious concern, because once I was asked this question that जिसके भाग्य में जो लिखा है वो सब होगा, why we so much take care of our children and like all these things, because of this love, because of the love, the parents sacrifice so much for the benefit of the children. But what benefit? If they truly love, if they love so much, that so much love is not sufficient unless the Krishna consciousness concern is included. So if they truly love their beloveds, they will also make them Krishna conscious. Make sure that once they leave this body, they have already targeted the perfection of human potential. If they don't include that concern, and so that concern is common for everyone in every ashram. But in Grihastashram, as your question is, in Grihastashram, it becomes more and more important, more and more, because in Grihastashram, one himself, his situation, he himself is attached to so many things, and then also he has to become awakened. So ultimately what happens, awakening matters, otherwise the entanglement sustains, especially in the Grihastashram, because in Grihastashram one is trapped by the needs of so many others. Other ashrams, one has lot of freedom to think at least of oneself, then also helping others. Grihastashram especially, people have to come to this awakening. Yes, mera kya hoga? What will happen to me if I have to leave this house? I have to leave this body. Where would I end up? This awakening, this question must haunt him. all of us. Then, if I have been already contemplating about through the knowledge and the inspiration given by the pure devotees and the scriptures, we contemplate about taking shelter of divine shelter of Krishna, Srimati Radharani. Anyone think of taking shelter, calling out to associate with the spiritual master, his eternal swarup, or whichever. So this contemplation, this ignition in our consciousness, it frees us from the fear of death. Because death, why it is fear? Because that uncertainty, where will I go? So everybody wants to avoid talking about death because of that uncertainty. But death is as certain as anything. So why should we forget death? Rather, it can come anytime. It is imminent. And that's why we must take advantage of this thing. That death is certain, and as long as it doesn't fall upon us, let us work out some plan so that when it comes, we are fully ready to move where we have already aspired to, where we have been contemplating. Correct? So suppose you live in Delhi, and if something happens in Delhi, while living in Delhi, before that you are forced out of Delhi, if you have already worked out that if I'm forced out of Delhi, I will just go to Kolkata. Then when you are forced out of New Delhi, you are not in anxiety, rather you are fully prepared for it. So that preparation, that readiness, that awareness, that selection, options one must explore. So human intellect is meant to allow us to explore our options when we exit this material body. So every ashram, doesn't matter, everybody, every human being can be awakened to this reality and this concern for oneself and those the loved ones also. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Maharaji. Yeah, we may conclude.
Jai Granthras Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Sripad Guru Maharaj ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki jai. Thank you all for
Gaur
joining.
Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
See you all in tomorrow's class. Hare Krishna.